Welcome back, folks. This is what we're building today. It is a Spitfire Mk1A Throttle Quadrant. It has a lot in common with the Mk9 Quadrant that I built earlier, but there were some fun engineering challenges with this one, primarily around the war emergency power. Strictly though, this is called a boost cutout for the Spitfires of this era, or I've seen it called an automatic boost cutout override. This was very much a collaboration with Aeroplane Heaven, as the quadrant was designed primarily to work with their Spitfire Mk1A. We were both pretty pleased with my solution that the travel on this quadrant is restricted by this lever. And when you press that lever forward, you can move the throttle full distance. However, I didn't want this to be limited just to the Aeroplane Heaven implementation, which applies to the Microsoft Flight Simulator and Prepare 3D versions, as I know that in some sims, such as IL-2, boost cutout requires a key press to engage. So I have added a micro switch, and you can hear that as the lever moves forward, it clicks and then clicks on the way back. And that sends a boost cutout signal to the sim and then another on return to disengage. So I'd say that's the coolest feature of this quadrant. Apart from the fact that the whole thing is very cool. It uses Hall sensors throughout and sealed bearings, so it's very smooth, very precise and very long lasting. AuthentiKit is a freeware project. We're creating flight controls for a wide range of aircraft with an initial focus on vintage warbirds, followed by vintage and classic general aviation. We're harnessing the power of 3D printing in conjunction with high quality but low cost components like Hall sensors and sealed bearings. All flight controls can be assembled at your kitchen table with no workshop tools, no soldering and no metal work. You can source the parts yourself, or third parties are providing kits of all the hardware as well as 3D printed parts. These flight controls are assembled from kits, and this video is the assembly guide for the Mk1A Throttle Quadrant, which is part of a larger kit comprising the throttle quadrant, the elevator trim wheel, and then there's also a rudder trim wheel, which I don't have to hand. As well as this kit, there are, or soon will be, the following kits in the Mk1A series: a flight stick, a chassis or gear lever, and flaps. In the description below I've shown a link to the Spitfire Mk1A page on the AuthentiKit website, where you can download the assembly instructions as well as the parts list and all the files and all the information you need. It's all free. If you want to build your own quadrant and trim wheel set, you have two options. You can do full DIY or buy a kit. With the full DIY approach, you download the STL files, you 3D print them yourself and self-source the hardware. And this will cost you about £50 for all three controls. If you want to buy a full kit, although AuthentiKit doesn't sell anything, there is a recommended selling price, and the recommended selling price for this full kit is £195. See the description below for how to buy a kit. In dollars, it's $195. So let's get started. I have my assembly steps, my wiring diagram, my machine screws, some hardware, a box of printed parts, and 31 steps between now and the end of this video, so let's get started. I'll put these over here. Step 1, we're going to assemble a Maghall 6803F. In fact, we're going to assemble 3 of them. I'll take you through one of them right now. So, fit the sensor, magnet, cork disc and cap. Right, here's the sensor. I tend to splay the arms out a little bit, the legs I should say. Pop them through the base like that. Tip it over and just bend those legs back a bit for now. That's all we need for now. Okay, that's the sensor in place. Fit the magnet and cork disc. Right, we can put the cork disc on now. Peel that off. If that goes dead center here, you can see these little grooves which just help you get the absolute middle alignment right. Okay, that's the cork disc. We have our peg, and the bearing goes over the peg. We have the cap, and the cap goes over the bearing so that the peg rotates inside. And we have a magnet. Now we have to orientate the magnet correctly. So you've perhaps seen this before, but I'll show you again. You take a red-blue magnet. Now that doesn't come in the kit, by the way. This is something that you'll use a lot. Most of the flight controls have got a Hall sensor in them. Many of them do. So rather than include this sort of thing in every single kit, the Universal Hub Starter Kit comes with this, and it also comes with this screw measuring device, and with the screwdriver bit, and then the printed holder for it. That's the sort of fat Phillips Head 2 screwdriver bit, and then you've got the much finer one. We'll be using that in this flight control as well. That's a PH1 and a screwdriver bit for that. So they come with the Universal Hub Starter Kit. You'll use those in various places. So we take the blue end, the South Pole, and we use that to determine where the North Pole is on this cube magnet, because they all look kind of similar. And then you just need a screwdriver, and carefully, without losing the orientation, pull away this magnet. We don't need that now because we know where north is. It's at the tip of the screwdriver. And then there's a dimple on the base of this peg, and that is what the north points to. Okay, so now we've got the north of the cube magnet pointing at the dimple, and we simply fit the base over the back. Tip that over, and we want 3 14mm screws for that. Quick way to check that it's 14mm. Should be fairly obvious because it's going to be a perfect fit, but that's a 20, it's too long. But I'll just show you quick way. I think that's a 14, we just drop this little device over it. Yeah, flush to the top, that's a 14. So we have 3 of these. Get those in. The best way to orientate this for later is that with the legs down, have the D flat at the top. That's how you are going to need it later on. It's not crucial if you forget, we can adjust later, but for now it allows us to tighten things up a little bit more, knowing that it's about right. That is one. Okay, so I've done a second one, and I was just about to assemble the third when I thought I would point something out to you. It's another point about the magnet. So I've got my red-blue magnet, I know where the north is, I'm going to press it in here. Now, that magnet has gone in very easily. Now, depending on how you print it, it might be a little bit tighter, there might be more friction, and if that is the case, make sure that you press it very firmly down. Basically, you don't want the magnet protruding below the base, basically digging into that cork. You'll just sort of damage the cork a bit, and just won't be as smooth in action. So just make sure it's firmly pressed in, and it should be pretty much flush. That one is absolutely perfect. In fact, it's slightly loose, I would say, but it doesn't matter. So there we go, 3 Maghall 6803F components. Number 1 complete. Let's move on to number 2. Okay, number 2, this is where we assemble the boost cutout, or as I've called it in the assembly guide, the ABCO, the automatic boost cutout. I've used these terms kind of interchangeably. So we put the ABCO latch through the front plate. The ABCO latch, front plate, and that will be rotating like this. Next, we fit the ABCO teeth and attach the lever. So those are the teeth. Just make sure that the latch moves smoothly. If there's been a little bit of tightness in your printing, give that a good sort of wiggle and make sure that it is free to move. You don't want any stiffness later on, that's fine. and then the lever, and that slots over here. You can see there's a little D and the D here, so just line those up. There it is, and then fit that with a 20mm round screw. So there's the 20, and just tighten that down. Now tighten it almost entirely. If you tighten it all the way, you'll get some restriction. You won't be able to easily move that. So kind of tighten it fully and then sort of back it off a quarter of a turn. That tends to be the best. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about the top one, we'll sort that later. So that's number 2 done. Now, number 3, we're going to fit the bungee cord to the ABCO latch. Here is our bungee cord. Tie a knot in it first. Try and get the knot as close to the end as you can. There we go, that's good. Cut the end off with some scissors, or these are quite handy, these wire snippers. And then thread the bungee through the latch and then through this tube which is in the front plate. There we go. And now we tie a knot. So just get a knot started. It can be a little fiddly this. What I tend to do is I get a knot started and then I try and slide that knot as far as I can. Almost the tighter the better. Good, let's try that out. So if I hold this lever here, great, that's what we're looking for. And now we can just cut the excess off. Great, that's number 3 done. Right, number 4, that was the front plate. The back plate looks kind of similar, and on number 4 we're going to fit the top screws of the back box to the back panel, and we use 10mm screws for that. So arrange it like this, get your 10mm screws. It's worth checking that you're using 10s, because it's not the biggest issue here, but if you used an 8 here and then a 10 later, that 10 could cause you some trouble. So use the right screw every time and line that up and get that 10mm in there, another 10mm in here. Okay, get those nice and tight. Right, that is step 4 done. Okay, that's 4 down. We're up to the felt. Now, we're going to be applying felt to this back panel. And to do that, we're going to use this cutout template. So that comes with the download. And there are 2 types. There is that shape and that shape. This is the shape which goes on the back plates. This shape goes on this separator plate. So what I've done already is I have made some little cardboard templates, and you get your felt and basically use your little template, get some scissors and cut out the shape of the felt. Okay, simply fit the felt over the back panel. And the way that you want to place it is that the top, it covers the screws, and the two sharp corners are just below. Well, basically do it the way I'm doing it here. That's the way. Okay, that's how you want it. That's number 5 done. Okay, we're going to connect the wires of mag hole number 1, the mixture mag hole. There's our mag hole. The order of the wires in nearly every case is red, blue, white, RBW. So if you haven't seen it before, this is how it works. This is silicon wire, silicon wrapped wire. Just with your fingers you nip off a little bit of insulation and expose a fairly small amount of the bare wire. Grab one of these little ferrules, just sort of tap it with your finger like that and pop it over the end. Make sure there are no strands splaying about, so the wire goes all the way through. Actually, before I do that, let's just get these legs in the best position possible, which is that they are almost flush, they're almost pressing into the channels, they're over the channels, but they are still just a little bit lifted away. So here we go. I've just rearranged the legs. I've moved the outer ones to the edges a bit so that they're going to drop nicely into the channels. And the legs stick up just a little bit so I can join them to the wires. Right, let's have another go. Take the wire, slide on a ferrule, RBW, red, blue, white. So red on the left, slide the ferrule over the leg. Now, if you push it, there we go, push it like that so that it goes beyond the end, because what's good to find is the point at which this, you see how this channel gets wider, gets wider from the root of the legs to the outside, and you want a point at which the ferrule just kind of presses into the channel and holds itself there. I think I've got that now, because now I can let go of this and there's just a little bit of friction already, it's pressed in, and at that point I can press that ferrule in a little more firmly, press the wire in, and then the final bit is I can crush the ferrule over the wire and make a really good joint. There we go. That is nice and snug. Okay, so one more time. Ferrule over the end, like that. Put it to the leg, over the leg, slide it along a bit. There we go. So now they're both inside the ferrule. Slide it a little bit up the channel so the channel starts to narrow. Find a point, there we go, that's good, where the ferrule will just start to drop in and be a little bit tight. Press the wire in and then crush the, find the sort of the center of the ferrule and then crush it down like that. Red, blue, white, RBW, next one. Okay, that's all 3. Now just take a final look, make sure that there are no strands popping across between one channel to another. If you've only peeled away a little bit of insulation, so you only had a couple of mils showing, then the chances of that happening are slim anyway. You've helped yourself there by keeping things tidy and short. And that is a wired up mag hole. So that is number 6. Now I have this little tin where I keep the ferrules in, and a good practice, can't say I always do it, is to pop the lid on that when I've finished and put it out of the way, because they can fly all over the place. Right, number 7, fit the mixture mag hole to the back panel. So that's the back panel with the felt on it, and this is where it goes. It drops into there, and if you've done your calibration, if these have been printed correctly, that will just drop in nice and easily. Hold that with your fingers, turn it over, and then fit it with 6mm screws. 6mm is absolutely crucial here. If you make a mistake and put 8mm in, because these things are all pretty short, you will damage the mag hole. So let's do the test on it. 6 is the smallest one. There we go. That's the one we want. It's really quite a short screw. So now we will put 6mm screws in there. There we go. That is number 7. Number 8. Thread the mixture wires through the guide tube and the back panel hole B. That's the guide tube, that's hole B. The numbering of these holes, their ABC is A, B, C. And they're in that reverse order because when you turn them over, they are A, B, C. So B's in the middle either way. So let's get these wires through this tube. They're should go through fairly easily. One trick, if you find that they snag a bit, is to get one wire through and then use that to feed 3 wires or additional wires through. Let's just see if they all go through. Alright, I've just got sort of 2 started here. Let's just get the 2 through. So they go through, they're going through okay, and then they will probably catch at that lip. Oh no, it's gone through fine. Sometimes you need a little screwdriver just to sort of pull them through at the end. Yeah, you see, there you go, that red one there is, no, it's coming through fine. It's coming through fine. But the blue's not in, so this is the trick. Once they're coming through okay, slide it back a bit. Okay, and then try not to cross them over as well. So I think if I pull this blue through, that'll be easier. Now, put the blue in as well, and then holding all 3 that you want to feed through, push all 3 in, and at the same time pull the 2 that are already through. And what will happen is the extra friction of the 2 that are in there will drag it through. There it is. So those are the 3 wires through. So get the hang of that in here, because there's another one later where we're putting 6 wires through. So this is the easier one. And then obviously don't pull them too tight, because you don't want to drag them out of the mag hole. Number 9. Oh, I haven't put them through the back hole, so let's do that. It's pretty obvious what the hole is now, isn't it? It's right next to it. So there's the blue and the red and the white. So they're all through. Right, that was number 8. Number 9, fit the wires to mag hole number 2, the throttle. Okay, that's exactly the same as before, so let me quickly do that now. Okay, that's number 9, RBW, just have a quick check, that's fine. Now I'll just make one more mag hole wiring, but this is number 10. Let's just catch up here. However, there is a difference here. I said it's always RBW. All mag holes are red, blue, white as a standard. However, we're going to have a few too many red, blue, whites, and we're going to get them mixed up. So here's an exception. This will be the prop or the air screw, and this will be red, black, green instead of red, blue, white. So I'll do that now. Right, number 11, fit mag hole number 3, which is the prop mag hole, so red, black, green, to the prop back plate, and that's what this looks like. So we just turn that over there and place it here. And then fit it with 10mm screws, 3 10s around the outside. So let's make sure we have the right screws for that. I think that's a 10. Yeah. And there's also a center screw, an 8mm screw. Okay. Okay, very good. That is the prop mag hole and the prop back plate. And it also says run the wires through the 3 holes. Right, well you can see where they are. 3 holes underneath the 3 wires. So let's just feed those through. Okay, that's number 11. Number 12, apply felt to the front panel. That's the front panel, and we apply some felt exactly the same as we did on the back panel, and making sure that we don't cover up these little slots here. So I have a piece of felt, but as you can see, it's going to catch on that bungee guide. So let's just nip. It's not too crucial how we do this. Let's just nip a corner off that, and that should work fine. There we go. That's about right. Okay, take off the felt. Pull the lever back. You might have realised by now it's probably smarter to have put the felt on before the lever, but this will work. There we go, just press that down. Got a little bit protruding here, I'm just going to snip that off there. There we go, that's tidier. Just making sure that we don't go over those little depressions, those little slots there. Good. Okay, the lever still moves smoothly, and we have our felt in place. Right, that is the felt number 12. Okay, we're now up to number 13. Fit the throttle mag hole to the front panel. So that's the front panel. We have one more mag hole. Here it is. Fit that to the front panel. Again, that drops in nice and easily. 6 mils again. Okay, nice and tight. That's the throttle mag hole. Throttle mag hole front panel. Number 14. Thread the wires from the prop backplate through the front panel holes. Okay, now that's the prop backplate, and it's going to sit over the front like that. And then these wires here are going to go through these holes. So keeping the order, not mixing them up, we're going to have the red one pop through here, the black one in the middle, and the green on the left. So just gently feed these through. I can pull all three at the same time now, I think. Yeah. Gently pull that through. Okay, that's number 14. Number 15, fit the prop back plate to the front panel with one round head, 8mm, that's this, goes in the middle, and 2 limit posts, and they're 20mm. They're also round head, so that's that and that. And the limit posts look like this, so we simply pop a screw over there and put that in there. So let's get those tightened up. Okay, so that's holding in place now. That's the prop back plate. That is number 15. Number 16, run the throttle and the prop wires through the curved guide tube. Now I've done this one before, and I hope you got the hang of it, because it's a little more complicated now. We've got 6 wires. So I think I will start just by threading 2 wires through. Okay, and then use the friction to help some more wires through, probably one at a time I think. There it is, the 6th wire, another red. And now, gently, pull them all through, and then sort of one at a time as you work out which ones have still got some slack. And trying not to over pull anything, because you don't want to rip it out. That's number 16. Number 17, apply the felt to the separator plate. So that's the different shape of cutout. So again, I will use this. And you'll find that the cardboard cutout is a fraction bit deeper than the felt. And the bit we'll lose is just that little sliver of off the top. Here that's 1, and that's 2. Okay. Apply the felt to the front panel. Let's do that now. Now the placement of this is that you take it as high as possible and not go over, not too far past that little corner piece there, or it'll get in the way of things. That's about right. And yes, you just lose a little bit at the top, but that sort of makes the most of the felt. Same again on the other side. That is number 17. Number 18. Fit the yellow and the black wires through the panel tube and wire guide. This is the panel tube and wire guide, and these are the yellow and black wires. So let's thread them through. Now I've already taken the ends off these. They'll be easy without the ends. So thread them through from the top, and then they should just poke out the bottom. If they don't, just sort of twist them and wiggle them until they do. And if they're still misbehaving, give them a little twist, put a little sort of L bend in the bottom, and then try it. And then that should just help them pop out like that. And if you can just get a little bit exposed but they're not really coming out, then use a screwdriver and just help them out. Okay, so those are your yellow and black wires. And now that was through the front panel tube and the wire guide. This is the wire guide, this little tiny one. So put one through there for now. Okay, that goes through. And then the other one goes through. You might need a little screwdriver just to sort of help it through. Like that. Okay, so now we've got both wires through. Now we want to peel a bit off. Okay, so that is number 18 done. Number 19, fit these two wires to the ABCO micro switch. This is the ABCO micro switch, and it goes this way round. It's going to drop in here, like that. And it's going to be clicked by that little lever. So, let me just, and we're going to use the ferrule mechanism again. Doesn't matter which way round the yellow and the black go, by the way. So, we'll feed, I'll do the yellow on the left, I think. Make sure the switch is the right way round. It lifts clear on the left. So I will put the left one on first. And you just got to hope that that will stay and not fall off while you get the right one. Okay, that's the right one. Now I'm going to press this switch into place. There it goes. And gently put those wires out of the way a little bit. There they are. And then crush them as before. Okay. Alright. That's the switch in and wired up. Now we hold the switch in place with an M2 10mm. I've got a self-tapping version here. And then that goes over the left of the two holes. Okay. So that's holding the switch in place. So now you can see as you pull the lever, it clicks open and clicks on return. Now there's one tiny little piece, which is the next one, number 20, the ABCO switch plate, which looks like this. And now it's got a little bit of a bevel on the end. The bevel goes this way. You'll know which way because one way will fit and one way won't fit. Now this is a 6mm M2 screw. It really helps to have the right PH1 screwdriver to hold those, or you could struggle here. And then that screws in there and creates a nice tight fit, really holding those two wires in place. So now we have our micro switch in place. And we'll just feed back the black and the yellow a little bit. Just to make things tidy. There we go. And then a bit on the black. And then that's finished. Okay, we are up to number 21. Fit the mixture lever to the back plate mag hole. So that's the back plate. Front plate's got the ABCO thing on it. So we're going to fit the mixture lever to that. Here's the mixture lever. It goes like this. And because we put our D in the right place, that will mesh perfectly here. And this is crucial again. It needs to be a 6mm screw. And we're going to do the same for the throttle lever to the front plate, and that's a 6mm. So here's a 6mm. Okay. And now the throttle lever to the front plate. So that's another 6mm here. Okay. Nice and smooth. Right, that was 21. 22. Fit the separator plate with a single countersunk screw. For now, it says. Now the separator plate goes here on the back plate. And you can see which way round it goes because there's a countersink for a screw which will face you. So that will slot over like that. And then we get our 10mm countersunk in there. That's a 10. So let's put that in. It's all about to come together, literally. Thread the prop and throttle wires from the front panel through back panel tube C. That's C, so A, B, C. So now let's put this way round, because what's going to happen is these are going to come together like that. And we'll start by putting these wires through here. Should have 6 wires coming out the back. Looks about right. Take up a bit of slack. Okay, so that's the first part of the coming together bit. The throttle wires through C and the ABCO wires through A. So these are the ABCO wires, and they're going through that little hole there. So we're at that point now. And then connect the front and back panels. So basically that begins with a pulling together of these wires, taking up the slack, you can see there that they basically fit together like that. Just have a quick check inside that nothing is sort of nipping and stopping it connecting. No, that looks good. Absolutely fine. Okay. And you do that with 2 round head, 30 mils, and 3 countersunks. So the round heads first. So they're quite long screws. Put one in there and one in here. And we have a long countersunk, and that will go there and hold that in place. And we have 2 14 mils, one in there and one in there. So let's just tighten everything up. Okay, make sure that that still moves freely once you tighten this top one. Sometimes it can just create a little extra tightness and stop the ABCO lever moving, but no, that's working fine. Okay, and then we've got these 14 mils, get those in. Fantastic. That's a big step. Now 26, it's time to assemble this air screw. These are the pieces that we need, and this is the order of doing it. We will attach the air screw prop knob to lever. So there's the lever, and there's the prop knob, and it goes that way around with the writing on the front and the hole on the back. And that's a 10 mil that holds those together. Okay, that's the prop knob. And then to the pitch disc. That's the pitch disc. So we use 6 mil here. Okay, that's 26 done. Now the prop lever to the spacer and the friction disc. Now this is the way to do this. Incidentally, the reason that's sort of silver and these are black is that I thought it might look good with this piece being sort of silvery metally. I've decided it doesn't look good. I think it works better in black. But it doesn't matter what colour that is. Right, this is the order of things. Have a look at the D shape here. Remember how the D's have to line up to the top of those mag holes? So that D at the top like that. The air screw lever there, and 4 holes here which are going to align with 4 holes there. Put it that way round roughly, and then turn it over, and then we're using 4 times 14 mil to connect this up. So there's one of them, and you'll just have to sort of find the hole, and then there we go. Okay, those are the 4 14s. Don't heave on these screws too much, they don't have a lot of purchase on the other end. But 4 of them add up to quite a strong fit. Okay, so that is the prop lever to spacer and the friction disc, and now everything connects to the mag hole with an 8mm. So that is an 8mm. Pop that in the middle there, and that just drops on top and tightens up. There we go. That is our air screw. Now I think I could use a little more friction there, so let me take it off and just nip these up a bit more. There's no felt which gives extra friction to these levers, so the friction is all down to the cork disc pressure, so that's why you need to just tweak that to get the right friction. Okay, let me try it now. Yes, much better. Much better. Okay, so that's the air screw lever. Nearly there. 28 next. Fit the left and the right lugs. Those are the two lugs. They're slightly asymmetrical, and what you'll find is if you try to fit one and the screw doesn't quite align, it's an 8mm screw, then try the other one. Does that work? No, it's not quite aligning. See if it's the other one. Perfect, yeah. Okay, it is that way around. So there we go. There's one of them. And there's the other one. Okay. Now it's time to wire up the RJ45. As per the video, which I'm now showing you, and as per the wiring diagram. Alright, here it goes. Here's our RJ45, here's our diagram. So first off, we have some reds. This first channel will have all the reds in it. And we have several reds. And the way that we join them up is that we make a joint on the back panel here. Uses a flange 3mm screw. So let's just get that in. And there's also a joint on the black as well, so let's get that flange screw in. So this is how we join the reds. We are going to take all three reds from here and strip off a good amount of the silicon. And then another piece of red, which we will strip off a good amount of silicon. We will twist all together. By the way, you can cut short these reds, there's quite a bit of slack on them, but there's no need. So twist those reds together. And what I find helpful is to twist them round, a little screwdriver like that, and then drop them over this flange screw. And then tighten up the flange screw. And that holds them together, holds everything in place. Okay, that's the reds. Let's do this black at the same time so that we have two blacks. In fact, what I'll do is I will cut a little of that black off, and we'll use that here. Okay, we're twisting blacks together now. And put a little twist in that. And that goes under the other flange. And now it's just a case of connecting these 8 wires into these 8 channels of this RJ45 socket. So the way you do that is that you need, again, a small amount, slightly less than that even actually, there we go, that's sort of 2-3 mil, small amount of bared wire. And now we put them in the channels. So starting on the left is red, and we place the red wire just short of the tooth and crush it into place with the lid. And now you can see that that little bit of red has been crushed over the teeth, and there's no splaying about or stray wire. If you have a strand, just one strand of wire that's loose, it can drop in between these channels and short it out, and it won't work. So just be careful with that. Use short pieces, make sure they're twisted together so that they don't spread out, make contact where you don't want them to. So that's the red. Now the blue. It's 2 blues, so let's get the right one. So it's blue from C, which is the right hand side. So this is the right hand side blue. So let's put that in the second channel. Now, I think you can see that these staggered teeth, if I just catch an angle of them, you can see that they slightly come through the channel plastic wall, and there is a risk that a piece of wire that's in an adjacent channel could touch the side of a tooth from the channel next to it. And that's why I suggest very short exposed pieces of wire and no stray stuff, so that when you click it down, it doesn't go barely a millimeter past the tooth where it gets bitten into. Okay? Very important not to have those wires crossing over. So in the interest of time, I've put all the wires in. I'll just recap though on what we have here. We have the blue from the right hand side, then the blue from the left hand side, then the black, that's easy enough, then we have a white. That white is from the right hand side, the C. Another white from the left hand side, that's that one there. Then we have the green, that's easy enough, and then the yellow. We have a final check that everything is nice and tidy, no excess length which might cross over into something else, into an adjacent channel, and all looks good. Lock that down and slot the RJ45 in. In it goes. And we're up to the last 2 steps. 30, the back box lid, and then the Visa dovetail. So here's the back box lid, and it uses 14 mil at the top, 20 at the bottom. Now let's get this the right way around. It looks that way around. You can kind of, if I hold it that way, you can see that that sort of fits, follows the line of the box, whereas that doesn't. So that's the way. Now let's just push these wires out of the way so they don't get caught as I click the lid over. That looks fine. On it goes. 14 at the top. 20 at the bottom. Now the 20s go all the way through, from here, through here, into here. Okay, final step, 4 screws remaining, 4 screws to fit. This is how the Visa dovetail goes, with the open mouth pointing down. So let's fit that centered on the back box. And that, my friends, is a Spitfire Mk1A Throttle Quadrant. And we can just test the action there. That's a very nice air screw action. We have our throttle moving well. In order to engage boost cutout, you've been moving forward with the throttle, and then with your thumb hold that lever out. That will give you those extra pounds per square inch of boost, and when you release the throttle, that releases the boost. And we have the mixture. Very nice. Now, in the interest of not having this video go on forever, I'm not going to show you how to fill in the white lettering on air screw control, but I'll put a link to another video where I show you how to do that. Essentially, you fill it in with white silicone, and there is a trick where you can put some detergent just in the area on the surface so that you don't get the white silicone sticking to that. It sort of goes in the gaps, you wipe it away, and then you will get nice white lettering of air screw control. Okay, well, I'm afraid that's all we have time for in this video. If you don't know about the AuthentiKit rig system that this quadrant is mounted to, I've put a link in the description to a video that should help. But here's a quick preview of it now. And before we say goodbye, remember to subscribe, because in the next video I'll be assembling the rudder trim and elevator trim wheels. Here's the elevator trim wheel. And shortly after that I'll be releasing the chassis or landing gear and the flaps and, of course, the flight stick. Bye for now.